Yo, what's up guys? Welcome indeed back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the brand new Rescue Ace support. So the archetype is actually pretty dang good. I mean, there's very few archetypes that just let you use like a card like Turbulence to set up to 4 cards from your deck to the board, right? And this deck has seen a lot more play just because simply of one new support card that completely makes the deck a lot more viable. So in the first gameplay over here, we're going to show off how good the deck can be turn 1. So the main goal is usually just to Turbulence and set 4 cards, which is really good. But there are other plays that you can do because the deck doesn't have inherent like negate and destroy. So what you actually have to do is use a lot of other cards to disrupt your opponents, specifically Masquerena as well as Unicorn. Those are cards that are very common to go into to actually disrupt your opponent's plays. In addition to that, you can go for Underworld, Goddess of the Closed World, and that will in addition be able to stop another card because you're just using your opponent's cards as material. So there's a lot of options to basically make it so your opponent doesn't really get to play on their turn, even though the deck inherently doesn't have it built into itself. But we're going to see some more gameplay over here. So going over what the new card is. The new card is called Reinforce. You'll see it. It's going to clutch it up in the gameplay in the final game that I'll show off. So we got 3 replays of the Rescue Ace, and I want to talk about it because a lot more people are actually playing this deck. Now, is it going to be like a deck where you can, cash tier, turn 1, lock your opponent out of playing? I would say it does give an insane amount of advantage. Like, you're able to set 4 cards from your deck. Like, no other Yu-Gi-Oh deck, I think, in the history has gotten that much advantage just from, like, an easy summon like Boss Monster. Because the Boss Monster is Turbulence, which just allows you to set 4 from your deck. And then you have the Field Spell to recycle the cards. As a once per turn, you get to target 4 of your Rescue Ace cards that are banished and or in your graveyard. You shuffle them back into the deck and then draw a card. So what's so good with Reinforce is it allows you to protect your Boss Monster. Extinguish is like the only card that you get that can form a disruption other than other cards adding more cards to your hand to get maybe some advantage later down the line. But we're going to see Imperm on the Anima because you want to take that tap here. And then we're going to see Underworld, Goddess of the Closed World once again coming out. And it's kind of cool to see that the archetype doesn't really have a go-to make this boss monster and automatically win the game, although you get so much advantage, you kind of win the game with Turbulence, let's be honest here. This card is just so good. I mean, just watching this effect every time, it's just like, it's so intimidating to play up against. But the reason why it's so good is a lot of times you didn't have that 4th good target with the Rescue Ace. The whole archetype, it's an up to, so you can just set 3. Sometimes that was the case for some players because you just didn't have the right amount, and it has to be different names. But the good card Reinforce, again, you'll see here in a moment, but you can see, once again, a Unicorn being made. So it's kind of a link deck, although I have seen people play Extravagance in the deck, so you can still win even without going into the extra deck for sure, since the monsters can go up to 5,000 attack. Yes, 5,000 with the brand new Reinforce. So what does Reinforce do? So first off, this is their basic boss monster, although it's more of a monster where it adds other resources to make it so you have so much advantage in the game. So it's already at 3,000. The Field Spell will boost them all up by 500, and on top of that, the new card Reinforce will give it an additional 1,500 and make it immune to opponent's monsters' effects. And on top of that, when it was destroyed by battle, it's not destroyed on that next time. And then you can also, because it's not enough, you banish it from your graveyard and the target Rescue Ace spell in your graveyard, and you just set it right back to your field. And because Turbulence allows you to just go right instantly for 4, you now have a really good option for this, because now you can target 4 of the Rescue Ace cards that are banished and or in your graveyard, which makes it super OP, because then you can banish it and get the bonus effect and not have to worry about it. I feel like that was kind of something that might be a little bit too OP in the design of the archetype. But we'll see this next game over here. This time, the Salmon Great player will be actually able to go first, because I want to see, how does the deck do when it is going second. Now, there is kind of one downside with the deck, is that if you draw too much of these spell and traps that you actually want to use to set. Now, some of them aren't really that bad just because a lot of the deck searches out multiple cards. Fire Attacker is absolutely amazing, especially if you can go for it during your opponent's turn, because it has this effect where it's easily special summoned if the Rescue Ace monster is normal or summoned to your field, and there are, obviously this is turn 1, he's already summoned a bunch of stuff. So if a card is added to your opponent's hand, except by drawing, you have to draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. So it's basically like a mini Dark World Dealings, but it's only for you, or mini Graceful Charity, if you will. Really, really good, because you really need to get those double monsters, because to summon the boss monster, Turbulence, you banish 2 Rescue Ace cards. Now, what's really good with it is it's just Rescue Ace cards. It doesn't have to be specifically monsters. So he's going to go ahead and roar Turbulence. Turbulence, again, is one of the best cards. Then we're going to see the recycle of Rescue Ace HQ, because it's any Rescue Ace card, not just the back row. So this card is just so phenomenal. And look, again, that is so intimidating to see that, like, okay, I just negated his play, and bam, he's going for another one, and he sets 4 cards. Like, it's crazy how much Yu-Gi-Oh has evolved into this game of just insane amount of advantage, because back in the day, you know, you'd ask cards in hand. Now it's like, oh, bro, don't worry, I got 1 Turbulence in hand. 1 Turbulence equals 4 back row, equals, a lot of these cards search out other cards anyways. You target, you could actually take your opponent's monster. So this could actually be a disruption as well, but it lets you target a Rescue Ace, and a lot of them will search out other cards. This one lets you add a Rescue Ace spell from your deck to your hand anyways. But yeah, you're going to see a really good clutch up play of Reinforce. So Reinforce is activated over here. He's going to be protecting the Turbulence. So Blue Musashi protecting his Turbulence over here, because it's kind of like their boss monster, if you will. So this card is now 5,000, and it is going to be immune to being destroyed by battle 1 time, which is already good. And then you can banish it to actually target a Rescue Ace and set it right back to your board. So he goes for another fire attacker, just in case his opponent wants to draw some cards. So he's going to activate Access Code Talker, but remember, he does have... Oh, there's another bonus effect from the field spell, because usually a stat boost is like in a lot of field spells, but on top of that, you get a normal summon, an additional normal summon, and then on top of that, it has a pot of adverse effect, which is really good. But Rescue Ace Turbulence, because if they destroy this card, which is usually the card they'll go for, if not just this card. So how this works is if another card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, except during damage step, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. So he's going to activate Turbulence effect, because Turbulence is kind of their boss monster. In fact, I would say he's definitely their boss monster in the current format, but Salamangreat Roar is activated in response. So remember, it can't be destroyed, or it's unaffected by monsters, but this is, of course, a trap, so he's going to negate and destroy that. Then he's going to go rescue and bring it right back. Like, how OP was that right there? And then on top of that, he's going to activate another copy and reinforce, so he's got another 4,500 that is now immune to monster effects, and on top of that, the reason why he didn't attack over it is it can't be destroyed by that battle. So that Reinforce, which is a new card coming out in CyberStorm Access, which is coming out, I believe, in May. I had it on my other window. I believe it is in May in the TCG. Yeah, so May 5th in the TCG is when we're getting CyberStorm Access, which is where this card comes out in. That card is going to completely change up the archetype. Again, that's instant access to 4 good cards, because sometimes, like I mentioned before, it's an up to with Turbulence. So you can set just 1 card if you want to. It's just, before, we just didn't really have that extra card that was really good. And then if you let Turbulence survive for a turn, it's usually GG's, because the amount of advantage you can get is so good. Maybe we need a side deck, the Secret Barrel, up against this archetype. But yeah, Extinguish just gets rid of the card. It's a target effect monster. Your opponent controls, destroy it. And if you have a Rescue Ace Fire Hydrant, your opponent can't activate the effects of that destroyed monster with the same original name this turn. So that's potentially really, really good. If your opponent is, obviously going to activate some other effects in other zones, banish, graveyard, whatever, of the same card. I like it. It's pretty good. And I would say this archetype is going to get more and more popular. It depends on the rarity of course, the new card. Like, this could be a very cheap archetype to potentially play. Again, comes down to some of the rarities. But yeah, he just had a GG. I remember when Salamangreat was all about a deck that had like 1 to 2 card plays that would just give him a full board. But now Rescue Ace is like, bro, I need 1 card to get 4, and then all of these recycle into more cards and more advantage. So I want to go ahead and highlight the deck. But I'll give you guys the deck profile for both of the builds. So this one was from Blue Musashi. So again, Turbulence is the heart and soul of the deck. I'll mouse over them real quick, or I'll include also the 1-click download. One thing you don't want to skip out on is, do not skip out on 1-for-1. This is like one of the best cards in the entire deck, because Hydrant is actually pretty important. A lot of the cards will have some bonus effect. If you happen to have Hydrant, you get to do like something else. It's kind of like if you've played Counter Fairies, it's like Sanctuary in the Sky. But yeah, this one is playing triple Extravagance. But again, there are lots of cards in the extract that are very important. Specifically, I would say these 2 are so dang good in the deck. Obviously, Masquerena is really good as well. But yeah, that is something that you want to take into consideration. And on top of that, here is the other build. This one was the one that you guys can currently play right now, as it does not run the brand new card Reinforce. But again, before, it was usually just, you didn't have that great of options to set cards. Like you can see over here, this one's playing the Piriris, so it's at the start of main phase 1, you get add a monster with 0 attack, and like I mentioned before, the Fire Hydrant, pretty important card. So, and then after adding it, you have your life points. Is it worth it? I don't know. It's a pretty important card for the deck, but it's because there wasn't enough room, I think, or there was too much. There's extra room because you didn't have the option for Reinforce. But Reinforce is, in my personal opinion, way better, because now you can usually go for this, you can go for this, you can also go for Contain and Extinguish, but Reinforce is just such an excellent card for them. You can play one of like a lot of these as well, because sometimes drawing into multiple can become a problem. But yeah, that's just one thing to go ahead and mention. So we were on this one. Let me go mouse over these ones real quick. Go mouse over the extra deck. But that was the other card that I did want to mention. That Mist card was actually pretty good in the Salamander deck as well. A lot of people are attacking that in a lot of different decks now. But anyways, thanks for tuning, guys. If you guys enjoyed the gameplay, drop a like on it if you're new here and you don't want to miss out on when we cover maybe more support for this archetype in the future. Subscribe to the bell and you'll see more in the future. Take care. I'm signing out. Peace.